Greetings, and welcome back to the Norman Lowell Interviews, the series of podcasts where we interview Norman Lowell, an author, artist, and the founder and leader of Imperium Europa. Today is our fourth podcast, and it will cover the 5 R's. I am your host, Julian. So, Norman, as I mentioned, today is our fourth podcast, and we are covering the 5 R's. Those who would have listened to our third podcast would have noticed that you mentioned the 5 R's twice, but we didn't get into it. So, my first question today is a straightforward one. You often mention the 5 R's. What do you mean by this?
Good. This will give me a chance to elaborate a bit on this important subject. I launched the concept of the 5 R's at my debut at the London Forum gathering of 2005. It was an original concept. Nobody had come out with it. So this is the 5 R's, the concept was born in Malta and launched in London. Those of you who care to listen to my speech at the London Forum gathering can go to YouTube, Norman Lowell, London Forum 2005, and listen to the launching of the 5 R's. Now, what are the 5 R's? They are the marble columns upon which stands our Imperium Europa political philosophy. They are the radical racialist right, revolutionary reactionaries. Let's go through them. Radical. Of course we are radical. We are not the fossilized conservative right, always fighting the last war, out of touch and making fools of themselves, dancing in dinner jacket and Viennese ballroom dresses in Parcheville night spots. How ridiculous. Radical. Radici, roots. We tackle problems at the root cause and not the effect. While everyone pussyfoots around as to the cause, we spotlight the enemy, that hidden enemy, our eternal enemy, our most lethal enemy, the Zionists, mostly all Jews. Now, we come to the second one. Racialist. Yes, we are racialists, not racists. We are open about this, proud of it, unashamed to state it. We intend to defend our race, the European race, from the multifaceted attacks on it. Illegal immigration flooding our heartlands, multiculturalism making us adapt to foreign cultures, and worst of all, multiracialism, forcing us to mix with inassimilable aliens, thus destroying the white race forever. Of course, the world's media pushes all this down our throats. Our education system is a mess, brainwashing our children, tomorrow's parents, an unfolding tragedy. The end of a race of biological aristocrats, a race that gave the world everything, a race of explorers, astronauts, scientists, inventors. Yes, we are racialists, and we distinguish between racialism and racism. We do not hate other races or consider ourselves superior to them. We just note the differences that distinguish us from them all. And we want to preserve these differences. We want to be left alone to evolve our civilization towards its cosmic destiny. Right. Yes, we are of the right, the radical right, the new right. We are not the squalid socialists of the left, like a sunflower always leaning to the east towards communism. We are not the sheep the goathead of the left, nor the hypocritical so-called right, fearful of taking any stand that might be criticized by the left. We are of the radical right, and we proudly proclaim this. We refuse to be treated as refuse, to be bought or sold in liberal fashion. Sì, siamo di destra, la nuova destra. Revolutionary. Of course we are revolutionaries. Our ideas strike fear in the hearts of both the left and the right. Both fear us. Why? Because we are revolutionary in that we follow nature's laws. Immutable laws, laws that can never change, laws observed by our ancestors since time immemorial. We are revolutionary conservatives. We preserve all that is good, gained through a discerning wisdom, while cautiously moving forward, breaking new ground. Moving forward back to the past. Revolutionary conservatism. Reactionaries. Yes, we admit this proudly when the squalids hurl it to our faces. We are reactionaries in that we react to all attacks on our race, our culture, our peoples. We react against everything that is noxious to us, and we smell it miles away and react at its inception. We discern what is good and what is bad, even when cloaked as good. We know the enemy so well. So, to conclude, Julian, we of Imperium Europa stand on those 5 marble columns of our political philosophy. We of the radical racialist right, revolutionary reactionaries. Ave!
Thank you, Norman, for your elaboration. I'd just like to ask you one question on each of the R's now. So, starting off with the first R, radical. A lot of our leaders today preach finding the middle ground. Why do you feel we must act contrary to this and take up radical positions?
This gives me the chance to elaborate further on what I said previously. Radical. We have to be radical because our enemies are radical. In Trudeau's Canada, pastors are arrested for quoting Bible passages condemning homosexuality. In the USA, BLM terrorists burn entire city centers, Seattle, Atlanta, Portland, and New York, while moderation, a moderate response, fails to placate them. In fact, it incenses them even further. We have to be radical because our enemy, that implacable enemy, that hidden enemy, is radical.
Alright, moving on, racialist. All mainstream political parties in the West, including Malta, completely disregard race as just skin color. Why is race such an important feature in the politics of Imperium Europa?
Because if the race goes through miscegenation, then everything goes. All progress will stop. We will be dead genetically, dead in the eyes of nature, the cosmic play of forces. Only we of Imperium Europa understand the real nature of the struggle, a planetary struggle against an implacable enemy, obsessed with exterminating us. Multiculturalism and miscegenation are pushed by the same pernicious tribe. They are out to get us, unless we get them first.
Right. You called the mainstream right hypocritical and afraid of the left. Yet during this podcast you stated we are of the new right. La nuova destra, as you called it. So I'd just like to ask you, Norman, What distinguishes this new right from the present mainstream right, and what are the values that underpin this new right?
Yes, we are of the right, the radical right, la destra radicale. We are not the squalid socialists of the left, nor the fumbling, mumbling morons of the fossilized conservative right. Our worldview, our Weltanschauung, is the right, is of the right, anti-egalitarian and aristocratic in the sense of character. And we are proud of this.
Revolutionary. Norman, when discussing the first R, radical, you describe the conservative right as fossilized, but now state we are revolutionary conservatives. Can you please explain what is revolutionary conservatism and how it is different from the present mainstream conservatism?
Oh, what a good question. We are revolutionary, yes. We come from that long line of revolutionaries of the right. Gabriele D'Annunzio, Codreanu, Louis Ferdinand Céline, and Jacques Doriot. De Rivera, Ezra Pound, Sir Oswald Mosley, Francis Parker Yockey, Dr. Pierce, and of course, that great revolutionary conservative, Baron Julius Evola. These all differ from conservatives, who have such a rich background of revolutionary political philosophy of the right, while the left is so poor.
Alright, to the fifth and final R, reactionaries. You say that what may appear to be good can be cloaked. I personally agree with this sentiment. The EDL, the English Defence League, immediately comes to mind when I hear cloaked good. Unfortunately, I feel a lot of decent right-wing people fail to ever realise this, or at least distinguish between a good and a cloaked good. Could you please elaborate on this cloaked good and what forces are pushing it?
Yes. Our enemies are masters of subterfuge. They think in generations, always long term, and through their implacable hatred of us, through sheer persistence, they get there. This tribe of rodents in human form threw the gauntlet 2,000 years ago and vowed to destroy us. Just read their Talmud, the most hateful book in literature. And today, incredibly, they rule the world of cinema, media in all its forms, banking and major industries like pharma, and through all this, they shape politics. The governments of Britain, Germany, and the USA are in their hands. They can foment and start wars wherever and whenever they so wish. Just look how they gang the whole world against National Socialist Germany in the 1930s through criminals like Winston Churchill and the Jew Roosevelt. That war devastated Europe, broke the confidence of the white man, and rapidly led to our downfall. Only, only the revolutionary idea of Imperium Europa can restore white confidence and white planetary power. And we of IE intend to achieve this from Brussels. Yes, Malta can change this mercantile Europe into the greatest imperium the world has ever seen. Ave.
Thank you, Norman. That wraps up our fourth podcast today on the 5 Rs. As usual, before signing off, just a short message to anyone who's interested in our movement and would like to help us out. Please email info@imperium-europa.org. Today was our podcast on the 5 Rs. I was your host, Julian. We wish to have you back with us next time. Thank you.